Welcome to another virtual Live Talks Los Angeles event. And welcome to our screen, Louie Anderson, who joins us from his home in Las Vegas to talk about the paperback release of his book, Hey Mom, Stories for My Mother, but You Can Read Them Too. He's a New York Times bestselling author and an Emmy Award-winning comedian who stars in Baskets. Well, Louie, why don't we first start with you're a comedian, you travel, you fill theaters, that's what you do. What is it like in the current climate?
Well, I'm not doing that right now, as no one is. And what I've tried to do is thank God for Zoom and StreamYard and Facebook Live and all the places out there that you can really still reach people. I think what I'm doing is I'm figuring out my next thing, and also I really have, it gave me a chance to really contemplate everything I've done, all the work I've done, all the people I've met, and what is my next move? Like, I think that everybody's in there. What is my next move? And we don't really know what it is. How is it going to be? So I'm going to start this virtual comedy series, Louie Anderson virtual comedy series, where I introduce comedians that I think are up and coming, and I'm the host of it. So I'm going to start working on that. I have been started to work on it, picking the comedians, and I'm excited about that. And I'm really excited about the paperback coming out because it's a brand new cover, and we're excited about that. It's a real fun cover. I wanted to do a long time. I've always wanted to do a kind of a refrigerator cover, and so that's good. And I just love this book, and I get comments from people all the time about this book. And I've been so lucky because I've written books, I've done a lot of touring, but I tried to make the books the inside to the touring. Like, here's where these jokes came from. Here's who my family is. Here's the troubles I have. Here's the struggles I have going through life. But comedy has just been like an elixir to me. Like, it's my vaccine to the world.
Louie, why don't we start at the beginning? How did the book initially come about?
I had been working really hard on Baskets, and I think it was in 2015. I came home one day, and I was on a very emotional day, and I just started writing a letter to my mom. Hey mom, we haven't talked for a long time, and I playing my mom just changed my whole life. Like, oh my God, here's a great part. I got like my dream part at the age of 61. And it's just given me a lot of, kind of giving me like a retro, those extra booster rockets they put on rockets. I got a booster rocket for myself. The part really, really spurred me. And the book was, I decided to write it because I had so much to ask my mom. I had so much to say to my mom, and I had so much appreciation I wanted to talk to her about. I really, playing a mom on TV, I really played the part as a real mom. And so I really got to get the feeling of, like, I never knew my mom got up early and put makeup on and fixed her hair before she made breakfast. I didn't know that. I thought moms, were like that. And so that was a big wake up call for me, like how much my mom did and how much moms do. I don't think people realize how much moms do. And so I really think that was really the beginning of the book. And then, everything reminded me of my mom that particular season on Baskets. So I started writing, Mom, hey mom, everybody wants a selfie now. They don't want an autograph. Hey mom, everybody wants to be a big shot. Hey mom, all that kind of stuff. And so it's a love letter in a lot of ways to my mom, but it's also, I had some hard, tough questions for my mom in the book.
So the book, Louie, the paperback, basically has all the letters from the hardback, but I understand you have a special letter that you've specially written in light of our current situation. Do you want to tell us about that?
Well, I just think, this is such a unusual circumstance we're in. This is a once in a lifetime probably thing for us in this country, this pandemic. And so I thought, well, I should write my mom this letter. And so I did. And I started it, just started it out and it wrote itself, really. It's really funny how life is. Hey, Mom, we're in a pandemic. Sounds like a car of the future, doesn't it? Mom, I think you might have been in one 100 years ago, in 1919 or 1920. You would have been 7 or 8 years old. Everyone had to wear a face mask. I saw the photos from that time. It was a Spanish flu. I think it was. It seems like we always blame someone or some country or culture. Ours might be from China. It might come from bats. You weren't afraid of bats, Mom, or anything really. It's bad, Mom. It's a virus. 60,000 gone in a few months alone in the US. Everyone's afraid, or at least I am. You got through yours, so I'll get through mine. You've been through many pandemics, Mom, the biggest one named Dad. I'm still sick from the effects he had on me, even after all these years. But because of you, I'm still alive and kicking. Go to the best doctors used to say. Always drink a lot of water. Take B12. Eat everything. I can still smell the fresh homemade buttercrust bread that was hot out of the oven. You'd say to me, I want lots of cream and sugar, Louie. Don't skimp. Get the Land O'Lakes stolen individual butter pats out of the fridge we got from the restaurant. Pour us a fresh cup of Folgers. I want lots of cream and sugar. Don't skimp. There we were, hot out of the oven, fresh bread, stolen butter, homemade jam from Aunt Lottie, and every bite of the bread butter jam washed down with Folgers good to the last drop. This combination momentarily made the drunken melee of the night before with our dad pandemic temporarily disappear as we sat together in full silence of smells, tastes, fear, or regret. Somehow you found temporary peace and comfort for both of us, chewing and hoping. Mom, that's it. The hoping. I still cling to it during this pandemic because of you and your strength, your humanity, and to be honest, Mom, because of your unconditional everything. That's why I know I can make it. Thanks, Mom. And for me, every day is Mother's Day. I think of you and thank you. You were good to the last drop, Mom. I wonder if there's any bakeries open anywhere right now.
Thank you, Louie. That was special. Your mom sounds like a wonderful woman. She raised 11 children.
Yeah, she raised 11 children. She had 16 children, 2 sets of twins, and the first baby died. So she had a lot of heartache along with, a lot of children.
And the relationship with your father was a little challenging?
Well, he was a very famous trumpet player in the early 1900s with Hoagie Carmichael, and then his alcoholism and 11 children, I think, really made his life complicated because, when you have 11 children, I guess the thing would be you just always be working to pay the rent, to get the food, to pay the lights and gas. And then if you have something like an addiction, um, that's going to play a part in it, and somebody's going to suffer with addictions. Addicts are very selfish, and they they go for their addiction before they care about whatever else is going on. But they're sick and they need help, and at that time it was less available.
Louie, were your parents funny?
Yeah, my mom was very funny. I can still remember walking into a restaurant, hearing my mom go, "Can we get some extra butter?" And the guy would say, "Hey, let us seat your party first, ma'am." And then, she would get the butter, and then she would tell me, "This is how we got the butter. Throw a couple pats of butter in your pocket, Louie." What? It's stealing. Oh, they figure in for it, Louie. And she just had this funny little way about her on everything. She was a really charming, sweet, could have been anything person. In fact, when my mom passed away, people came to her funeral, and we didn't know the people. They said, "I met your mom once. She was such a terrific person. It was at a time in my life when things weren't too well, and she cheered me up. She made me feel better about myself." And I just thought that was, she said, this guy said, I just had to come by and say hi and pay my respects to a wonderful person.
There's a fun story in the book. You talk about going to the flea market with your mom. I'd love you
Yeah.
to retell that.
Well, she just loved junk. She just was a crazy drunk. Like we would go. Is this the one where we would sell and buy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go to the flea market because my dad would bitch about my mom getting rid of all the junk she had. So we pack it up. My mom would overprice everything because she really didn't want to sell it. And then by the time the flea market started, she had already gone around and bought a whole bunch more stuff. So we really never made any money, but she really loved it. And she would, she was educated about glassware and silverware, and unfortunately, so am I now. So when I see something, I do what my mom would say. "Oh, that's a good piece of china. Oh, what a beautiful fork. Oh, I wonder what those are made of. That's a good linen right there."
How much of your success did your mom get to see?
My mom got to see and enjoy quite a bit of my success. You know, um, when I was doing the Tonight Show, and then also I had a wonderful experience taking my mom to the White House. We did a show at the Ford's Theater, and then we all got to go to the White House for a reception with Ron and Nancy Reagan. And that was a really big, thrilling thing for my mom. And she was just, she was a sweet person. I remember we went through the line where you shook everyone's hand. When we got through, we walked a little ways, and my mom goes, "I could fatten up Nancy. I just need a couple of weeks." And so that's what her humor was like. She wasn't mean, but she was clever. She was a clever person. She could have been anything. She could have been a first lady. She was that type of person. She could have been president, actually.
There's, given the situation of the pandemic, everyone's home, lots of cooking at home. What was your mother's home cooking like?
Well, I could still smell the roast in the oven with the potatoes and carrots, you know, and the onions, and then she would get that roast out and pour the grease and the remnants from the cooking roast into a pan and make this most delicious gravy that you just couldn't believe. Mashed potatoes, gravy, the vegetables, the roast, and of course the hot bread. She always had hot buns and bread. You know, I always say, that if I had to give up everything but one food, I'd say I'd keep some buttercrust bread around.
How did you handle fame when fame first came to you?
I mean, I think like everyone, like you think you know what you're doing, you think you're a big shot, and then then you realize, oh my God, this may not last forever. Um, but I think I enjoyed it. I always tried to be nice to people. I was a little full of myself in the middle of my fame, but I just kept going forward. I kept doing it. I loved having the fame. I loved having, um, I loved it because, I got to celebrate my mom and dad all the time in my act and all my family. I loved being able to recreate my family on the cartoon. I just did a movie called What a Mother that's on Comedy Central tonight and on Mother's Day here. And geez, when I did that, I really got to talk about my mom. It's called Call Your Mother, and it's a beautiful movie about comedians and their mothers. And I realized, oh my God, a lot of comedians had this really unbelievable mother, or lack of mother. And so it was really a great experience, but I forgot your question.
That's it was about success and did fame. Yeah.
I grew up really poor. So money was nice, but it wasn't the most important thing. What the important part was is I could do my stuff to make people feel better. You know, like my mom, I was always trying to make people feel better. And that's where my comedy came from. It was a family comedy, clean comedy. I was just trying to get the whole family to come out and watch my show, because that gave me a chance to kind of get my family together, you know, in that same space. You know, I mean, sometimes I think we're always just recreating the thing that didn't quite go the best for us. I think we're always trying to make the situation better.
I'd like to know more about the first, your first big break. Like, for example, the first time you were on The Tonight Show. What was that like?
That was unbelievable. I worked my whole life. I had 3 goals: to get my name on at the Comedy Store, to get on The Tonight Show, and to become a talk show host. And so when I got the call from The Tonight Show, I was a little like, yes, but I was so prepared. And when I got done, I left the stage, but the applause was so great. They told me that Johnny wanted me to come back. So I was on my way to the dressing room, and they go, Johnny wants you back. Johnny wants you back. And so I ran out there, or, kind of, got out there and took another bow. And then Johnny waved me over and shook my hand. It was a dream come true. Because, I used to watch The Tonight Show with my dad. He'd watch the musicians because he was a big fan of Doc Severinsen. And he would let me stay up and watch the comedians. So it was a dream come true to reach out and touch that drape that I was going to go through, because I knew my mom was going to say to me, hey, what was that drape made out
of? Isn't that funny? You've channeled your mom through your comedy routine for decades.
Right.
Any specific, what drew you to that, or do you see a connection with that?
Well, the laughs. I mean, I would get such big laughs. My mom was a window monitor. She would hear a car door slam and she'd be over at the window. The Johnsons are home. Oh, that oldest girl, she looks pregnant. My mom would know all that stuff. My dad would then say, yeah, Louie, the FBI, they don't even question people anymore. They just go to your mother because she knows every damn thing. And so it got big laughs. People resonated with people. And it was honest and true, and it came from here. I always tell comedians, right in here, pull from what's in you, because that will be endless, and no one else will be able to copy that, because that's your true, authentic self. And I think being authentic to that heartbeat I have, and to where I want to, stream from, I'm streaming like, the channels are. I'm streaming all my stuff. And I can't wait to get back out there and do a new special about what it's been like to live in this and to emerge from it. And I think we're all going to do that. I think this place, I'm hopeful that the country becomes a nicer place, that people are better to each other, that we know the value of the people like the first responders, who really, they're heroes. They're the new heroes. And I hope we have all the food shelves, full, and that we're feeding people and we're taking care of people, because, we're all in this together. We're all in the same boat right now. And I think people have lost that idea. I'm doing a thing tonight on NBC called Feeding America with about 50 or 60 other comedians. Byron Allen is doing it, who I've known for 35 years, he owns the Weather Channel, and he's really done a great job. He's always supported the comedians and me. And we're doing this thing so we can help feed America. I mean, isn't it crazy that we have to worry about feeding America when there's so much stuff?
It is. It's making us rethink and revisit how we do a lot of things.
And you know, my mom, if there was a kid who was skinny in the neighborhood, not getting fed, she would invite them to dinner all the time because she knew they weren't eating enough. And even got in trouble from one woman, says, "Quit fattening up my kid." And which was really funny. And my mom goes, "Well, he's hungry. And if he's hungry, I'm going to feed him." And that's the kind of person she was. And I love that about my mom. She didn't see color, she didn't see race or color or preference or any of that stuff. She just treated people eye to eye.
What were your siblings like, Louie?
They were a cacophony of my mom and dad. You know, I say about my sister right now, I go, she's just like mom. My other sister was just like my dad. My brother, Jim, who we just lost recently, he was just like my dad too. When I'd look at him, I go, "Oh my God, that's my dad." And I think we all were hardworking. We wanted things to get better. We're all complicated. The alcoholism was very hard on our family, but good people. We care. We love people. We want things to be good. I think my mom and dad will live on and on for a long, long time.
Louie, let's talk about some of your idols, your comedic idols. Who did you grow up looking up to?
Well, Jack Benny on the timing thing, he really gave me a lot of and there, and Jonathan Winters and Bob Hope and Johnny Carson and Jackie Vernon, Richard Pryor, Rodney. These are all people, who I said, oh, these guys are really the cream of the crop. I say Bob Hope, had a big influence because he'd yell out, "Hey, everybody!" And I'm, like I'll catch myself having that cadence that he had. And Jack Benny had that great deadpan where he just look off. And my mom had that same thing, very great timing. I guess those were the people, Jackie Vernon had a very lyrical thing, and Jonathan Winters when I do crazy characters, and Richard Pryor, he would cut himself open basically, metaphorically, and just let you see him. All of his, insides, he would hang out, he was just a raw, truly brave and talented comedian. So, those are the people I mean, I loved them. And I keep them alive in my act. That's one of my homages to them.
What about among some of the younger comedians out there today? Anyone in particular you're drawn to?
John Mulaney's terrific. Bill Burr. God, there's so many. I always think, who else am I gonna? When people ask me, Nick Swartzen's a good friend of mine, very funny. Well, Sarah Silverman is great. Uh, you know, uh, Kathleen Madigan, Rita Rudner and I tour. We've been working together for 30 years, called He Said, She Said. And the younger comedians out there, we really came from the golden age of comedy, we feel, as 80s babies. And, the HBO and all the specials and Rodney and all that. But I think it's a platinum age of comedy now. There's so much comedy, so much unbelievable comedy. And my nephew, Josh Floorhog, Josh F. Comedy, if you want to go see him. It's so great to have he's my great nephew. He's my sister's daughter's son. And he's just moved to LA. And I'm so proud that there's somebody in the family that has seriously taken up the reign of comedy.
Have you watched any of the Saturday Night Live episodes that they've done via streaming? I was just curious what you thought of those.
Yeah.
Those.
I thought they did a terrific job. I think that they were all doing, what worked the best out of all of them? When it was personal, when it was real, when it was how they were feeling, manifesting their fears, getting into this stuff. But they were all tremendous. And the cat, of course, was where she was trying to do a cat adoption, but there was only one cat and she wasn't going to give it up. I just loved that. I loved it. I thought it was tremendous. Honestly, I thought this is why art can't be stopped. people are out there. Every night there's something on the internet that you just go, wow, that was fantastic. A performance, you know, um, Sophie Ann Music is a girl I knew because her father is my agent, and I got to see her grow up, and now she's just put out her first album. I love seeing that growth and places that people are going. But I love the Saturday Night Live thing. I give it an A+, really. I mean, not every sketch hits on every show, and but that was so personal and really good. They really did it. It's hard to do a thing without laughs. It's difficult.
Let's
That's
talk
what
about.
separates it's hard to do it without laughs. It's what separates the pros from the amateurs. If you can do it, it's in there. You're doing the same performance. You just have to believe in it and not be afraid. Be fearless, as FX says.
What about the difference between playing to an audience versus an audience that you can't hear, or an audience whose response you can't be part of?
Well, of course, the audience is the number one thing because you can get a rhythm going. It's like hitting a tennis ball back. You serve one, they serve it back to you. And that's what that whole thing is, a give and take. And you get a real rhythm going. And that's why somebody will heckle somebody or something. You go, oh, they threw off my whole rhythm. So mad at them. But without the audience, to me, it's an opportunity to see how good I am, see if I can pull it off.
Speaking of pulling it off, you certainly did in Baskets, and I'd love to know how you playing Christine in Baskets came together.
I got a call from Louie, Zach, and Jonathan, and they said, hey, and I said, hey, and they said, we want you to do a part in Zach's new sitcom on FX. And I go, yeah, what is it? I'd love to. They go, we want you to play his mother. I go, yes, finally, something I could get my teeth into. That was just like, it was like, oh yeah, I get that. I immediately get that. And I remember going there. They said, well, nobody knows it's going to be you, so you can't tell anyone. Even the network doesn't know. And I go, wow. And so I went there 5:30 in the morning, Silmar, and to a dark. It was still dark out. Got the trailer, picked the clothes out. I picked the clothes out my mom would wear, my sisters would wear. And then I went in, and I got the wig on, and it was too small, so they had to cut the wig in the back. And then I got the makeup on, and that's when the transformation happens, because you're not used to seeing yourself in full makeup, especially for a woman. And then when they put the lipstick on, well, that's it, because you always, I don't care who you are, when they put lipstick on you, you go, I look pretty good. And I left the trailer. I just had the one scene in the pilot, and I went up to the director right before we started, and I said, Jonathan, I'm not going to change my voice in this thing. I'm not going to do a cartoony voice. I'm going to use my same voice for the character. And he goes, okay. He was just, he's the best director. He directed me beautifully, but hardly said two words. But he really did he's as responsible for this character as I am. Well, we're both, we both owe my mom. And that's how he did it. Then I didn't hear anything for 3-4 months. And then they said, hey, FX is going to make the show.
Wow. So as you're getting into the character and as you're playing Christine, were you revisiting your mom? I
was making Louie disappear in there. I wasn't visiting my mom as much as making me. I said, now, Louie, you stay in the dressing room here. You stay in here. Because I really did want to be Louie Anderson. I asked people to call me Christine or Mama Baskets on the set, because I really wanted to stay in the idea that I was a mother. And I did. I really stayed in that place. But later, I pulled upon all the things of my mom. How would my mom do this? And it was a big emotional thing because sometimes I wondered when I'd be in a scene, was my mom ever this happy? And that would just like tear my heart out. But that was good for me. I really got to visit the the place where my mom lived. I was playing a mom of two sons, both of them with their own special problems, and then a set of twins who were adopted. And then I really got to be a mom to those characters. And then I would say, well, what would my mom do here? And I always made almost always made a smaller choice with the help of Jonathan than a big choice and a broad choice, you know? And then I tried to have fun with the character because my mom was a fun person. She loved a good laugh. And, my dad terrorized her. So she still was so resilient and so strong and so powerful that she never let my dad, destroy her. Even after he quit drinking, he was 69, he quit drinking. My mom turned to me and said, I told you he'd quit, Louie. you know, the iron, I go, oh, Mom, that was so priceless, Mom. You have no idea. But she was serious that she never gave up on him quitting drinking. She never gave up on people. I think mostly moms don't give up on their kids. I think they want them to do better. Not every mom, and not every mom is capable of doing those things. But I don't have that experience. I have an experience that my mom never gave up on us. My brother would have problems, or my sister. My mom never gave up on them.
Well, mothers are a special treat, indeed. Any regrets, Louis, from your childhood?
I wish I would have been nicer to my mom. I know people say that all the time. And people always say to me, Louis, you were nice to your mom. I go, oh, no, I should have been much more deferential, and I should have given my mom whatever she wanted. I should have let her live at my house. I know she really wanted to, but she would have drove me completely insane. But because you think that about your mom when you're doing things, you think, oh, she'll drive me insane. But I really regret that. I wish I would have let her live with me and live it up to the fullest extent. I would give anything to have my mom bothering me or driving me crazy right now.
Since the book has been out, Louis, have fans approached you and shared stories with you about their mothers and their relationship
Yes.
with their mothers?
Got lots of letters, got tons of letters from people saying, hey, your mom's just like mine. Or I'm glad you had such a nice mom. Here's what my mom did. They tell me funny stories. I've always gotten a lot of response, even if they weren't my fan, but they liked what I was trying to say in the books. I would always try to respond to them and tell them, and I still to this day cherish all those things. And when somebody writes me, I try to answer all my mail, which is, sometimes difficult, but I always get around to it as much as I can because I knew what it would be for me if I wrote somebody. I would want them to answer me. And, I learned to write thank you notes from my mother. I learned to write thank you notes, and I hardly ever don't write thank you notes. And now it's thank you emails, but I still try to write an actual note in a card because that means something. I took the time and I recognized the human being, and that's what my mom loved to do. She'd love to find the humanity in someone and celebrate it. She was just she could have been she could have been any kind of politician or anything, but she was you know she was our angel, I guess. I was thinking of a funny thing. If my mom were alive today, she'd be so happy that my hands are this clean. She loved clean hands. If your hands were dirty when you were a kid, my mom would just go, "Come here a minute." And she'd take a bowl of soapy water and wash your hands like our Mother Teresa. she would make sure our hands were clean. It bugged her that if we weren't clean, you know. And so I clean my hands, and I think of my mom. I just go, "Oh, Mom, you'd love this, wouldn't you? That I'm using this soap that you like, and this Dove, and making those bubbles in there." And she'd say, "Yes, I do, Louie. You know, you need to stay clean. You know."
One last question, Louie. So on Mother's Day, anything special you'll be doing to remember your mother?
You know, of course, I'm going to do a Facebook Live and read this letter. That's one thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to have some uh, buttercrust bread, and I'm going to steal some butter from a restaurant, and I'm going to dunk that bread into that coffee that has too much cream and too much sugar in it. And I'm going to pour 2 cups. Call your mother. Call your mom. Do something nice. I don't care if you're mad at them or not. I don't care how mad you are at your mom. You'll regret not trying to fix that. And it's on you, because maybe they can't. Now, I don't know all circumstances, so I don't want to encourage someone to cause themselves more harm. But if you're just being stubborn and your mom said something and you just got peed off about it, so what? Life's short. Call your mother. Or if you can't call her, send her a note. Send her something from Amazon. She'll be crazy about it. Send her some chocolate covered strawberries or whatever your mom likes. Everybody knows what their mom likes. So get your butt in gear, as my dad used to say, and celebrate your mom. And buy this book. It's fun. You'll learn something from this book. It'll help you. It helped me. I always think that about my books. If they help me, they might help someone else. Ooh, this is a good thing to do. Buy the book, right? And then give it to your mom after you've read it. So that's like a 2-for-1 gift. Just don't crunch the pages too much, because she'll know. She'll know if you thumb through it.
Thanks so much, Louie. That's
Thanks,
very
man.
special to have you back on our screen this time, not our stage. The book again is Hey Mom, Stories for My Mother, but you can read them too. And that is available wherever books are sold.